AEW fans must accept this about Mercedes Mone in this video. I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and why I'm about to piss some of y'all off. Because look, Mercedes Mone, she's been in AEW since March of 2024. She's had her ups and she's had her downs. Let's be real, y'all. The first leg of her AEW tenure, it was a rocky. And this is coming from a Mercedes Mone fan, someone that has supported her and followed her career all the way from her WWE NXT days. Heck, she even got me to watch New Japan. So I'm a big time fan, but I also have to be real. And I think most of y'all who are watching this would like for me to keep it real. So let's keep it real. Look, Mercedes Mone, she had her ups, she's had her downs, and that first leg was rough. She could not find her way as a babyface. So what did they do? They pivoted, and I was grateful for that. They pivoted towards a more of a heel-based character because her promos was not resonating with the fans whatsoever. They were not buying what she was trying to sell. And so she was smart enough to say, okay, we're going to pivot into a different direction. And that's exactly what they've done. And she had the Britt Baker feud, and that really helped her heel character get over. And she started to find her promos, and she shook off the ring rust, and she's been putting on banger matches week after week after week. And that's a great thing for Mercedes Mone because she's one of the best in-ring talents, and not only in AEW, but in the entire pro wrestling industry, right? And so when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, now we're starting to cook. But then something came up, something popped up on my time feed, and I'm like, oh, I have to talk about this because Mercedes Mone, she does have a real connection with the fans. Whether you think she's overrated or underrated, whether you like her as a babyface or a heel, whether you like her as Mercedes Mone or Sasha Banks in WWE, people care about her, and they always have an opinion about her, which speaks to what she's been able to do in her career. Now, that leads us to today's video because Ric Flair was recently on Busted Open Radio, and he was talking about the feud between his daughter Charlotte Flair and Mercedes Mone from WWE. He said that I always thought that Sasha and Ashley had the best chemistry of all time. I just think the matches that Rhea and Ashley had might have been good. I look at Sasha. She has that mindset that she can do whatever she wants because she's that good. I think ultimately she'll end up back in WWE. If you look at the last 10 years, what Sasha has been able to do and what Ashley has been able to do, and maybe a couple others, none of the guys can stay on top for 10 years. Never take a step back. Always in the main event, end quote. Now, that's actually very true. Now, the bigger point of that is he thinks that she will return to WWE. Let's touch up on that in a second. But first, let's address something here. When he's talking about how Ashley, aka Charlotte Flair, that's her real name, that she and Sasha Banks, and I would count in your Becky Lynch's and your Baileys, because really the four horsewomen of WWE, they've done this for the last 10 years. They've stayed on top for the last 10 years. They've done an extremely good job over the last 10 years. I think if you look at what they've been able to do, just like he said, there's not a lot of male talents that can say that they've done that. Sure, John Moxley, he's been on top. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, right? They've stayed on top in the grand scheme of things. But there's not a lot of talent that have. That's a very difficult thing to do. Now, let's circle back into his belief that Mercedes Mone will return to WWE. Is that a factual statement? 1,000%. Look, and I've talked about this before, but look at it like this. Mercedes Mone and Naomi walked out of WWE because they had creative differences in May of 2022 with Vince McMahon. They thought his creative sucked on that episode of Monday Night Raw, which in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't really bad. He wanted to book them in championship. It was like a fatal 5-way or fatal 4-way on Raw, and eventually it was going to be Sasha challenging for one women's championship and Naomi challenging for the other. Okay, I think Monet was going to work Ronda Rousey at a PLE. They didn't like it. They overreacted. They walked out. Fine, whatever. Naomi went to TNA. Sasha Banks went to New Japan. Okay, after like 6-8 months. And Monet did really, really good things in New Japan. It was like, holy crap, this girl, she has completely reinvented herself, and she's getting people to tune in to New Japan a la me. I don't like New Japan's product whatsoever. I think it's extremely overrated, and there's not enough good storytelling, but that's just me. She got me to tune in to New Japan, and it's like, okay, all right, I like this. This is good. And then she went to AEW, and I had a lot of expectations for her. But then you got to keep in mind with this. She would not have left WWE if it wasn't because of Vince McMahon. If Triple H was in charge, she wouldn't have left WWE because he's always booked her good. He's always booked her well, to the point where before she came back or before she went to AEW, she had numerous negotiations with WWE. She's an extremely smart businesswoman. She went to AEW and said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. What can you do for me? Great. She went to WWE and said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what you can do for me. Great. And she kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between AEW and WWE to drive up her price and get the certain perks that she wanted inserted into the deal. And I'm sure there's escalators in the deals that make her more money over time, yada, 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 right? Reportedly, she's the highest paid female talent in all of pro wrestling. If she had an issue with Triple H, she wouldn't have made those negotiations. She had an issue with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's not coming back to WWE. So it's like, she can absolutely come back to WWE. She had even stated before WrestleMania 39 in 2023, she went to the Super Bowl that was at the SoFi Stadium that held the Super Bowl and was going to host WrestleMania 39. And she told one of her friends, she's like, I'm going to be performing here in like 2 months. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to go back to WWE. Like, I envision it. And then Tony Khan gave her a deal that she couldn't refuse. And so she signed with AEW, or she thought she was going to sign with AEW. Obviously, she got hurt, and then she had to wait multiple months before signing with AEW. But you get the gist. Like, he made the business call. He made the pitch. It was hook, line, and sink. She would have came to AEW well before she did if she had not been injured, right? I mean, heck, there was multiple reports that she was supposed to debut at Blood and Guts that summer, but the injury delayed it. So she was already on her way, but my point is, like, she was very much open to going back to WWE. And so when Flair says, look, she's going to be back in WWE, she is. She saw an opportunity to branch out of the WWE bubble because she didn't like the current landscape. Nobody did. And then, Triple H took over creative, and it's like, it's a completely different company. They sold. Everything is different when it comes to WWE. So she has no ill will towards WWE anymore. And she was able to branch out of that bubble. And just like Cody Rhodes, look at Cody Rhodes. He would not have been the star that he is today if he had not left. Drew McIntyre would not be the star that he is today if he had not left. You can go down the list of talent that have been able to do that. You need that. It gives you a different set of eyes. It gives the company a different set of eyes on you. It gives the fans a different set of eyes. So I think there's nothing but positives. And so if you're even an AEW fan, while yes, you may want Monet to leave, or maybe you want her to stay, the reality is this. She is probably under contract for another 3 years, okay? She probably signed a 4 or 5 year deal, and she's going to be around for a while. Heck, she could return to WWE one day, or she could just retire in AEW. She'll get a WWE Hall of Fame induction one day, but I think there's a good chance that she wrestles her last match in WWE.